Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new Quickflicks review, and today we're going to be talking about Spontaneous, directed by first-time director Brian Duffield. Based off of the book by Aaron Starmer, Spontaneous follows Mara, played by Catherine Langford, as she is part of the graduating class of her school, when all of a sudden random students in her class start spontaneously exploding for no reason. And in the middle of all this chaos between government officials trying to test them and people just randomly exploding, loved ones exploding, there is a romance that blossoms between her and Dylan, played by Charlie Plummer. And it's within this that we find a more of a coming-of-age black comedy film that is set within the chaos of life, because life is unpredictable and you gotta be spontaneous. Now, Spontaneous was a film that I was actually really hyped for, mostly because I didn't really know much about what it was supposed to be. All I saw was that first trailer when kids starting going boom, and I thought to myself, this might be a really fun, interesting, disposable type of movie. But what I found interestingly is that it's actually much more of a touching movie than I actually thought it was going to. Now, it is a damn shame that this film hasn't been covered as much as I would have liked. Even Film Brain on Twitter called attention to it because, it's actually a really good movie. I rented it for one night, and me and my brother got to watch it. And all I can say is that this movie is really good. I think the acting, for the most part, can be a little cringe to those who are not of my generation, Gen Z and whatnot, but I think what ultimately it tackles is, in parts of this movie, it really tackles the sort of existential dread that my generation has. Seeing the fact that life can be so cruel, that life can be so damaging, that eventually we start to break down ourselves and we start drinking a lot and we start doing all these things. And there's definitely scenes towards the latter half of this movie that really do feel like the world is just breaking down. No matter what they do, there's people that are going to explode in this movie, in much of the same way as people are going to die eventually. And in a world where we have a bunch of people who die so suddenly in our lives, it definitely captures that feel of that weight. The weight of, wow, holy shit, he died, so young. I can think of various actors who have gone out this way. Anton Yelchin, who played Chekhov in the Star Trek movies. I can think of Cameron Boyce, most recently. These are people that we never would have expected to have died so suddenly. And especially in our own generations, I think this film is pretty good. I think it's one of my favorite films of the year. I mean, it's not really a hard competition. I mean, come on. There's barely any releases that come out, and most of them have been on streaming services now. But overall, I think Spontaneous is one of my favorite films, and part of that is due to the performances. Catherine Langford playing Mara as this person who goes through this cycle of, hey, I'm kind of an asshole, but then gets really depressed once shit hits the fan, and then finding strength within herself to go the extra mile. And the film pretty much is essentially the incarnation of the word spontaneous. Not only do people explode in this film randomly, but also every single action that's done in this movie is done in the spur of the moment, living life to the fullest sort of thing. Especially with the romance that blossoms between Mara and Dylan in this film. And the romance is actually kind of cute. The stories that they would share between each other. And I think Dylan's story, with him growing up having to dance alone in a barn, is honestly the saddest thing in the world, because, let's just be honest, that's me. That's me in a nutshell. So overall, with the performances good, the VFX work really good, and the bloody effects work, I mean, this is one of the bloodiest films I've seen this year. In a non-horror context kind of way. Although there is some references to Stephen King here and there. I'm not going to ruin it for you, and I think overall, Spontaneous is a film that will appeal to my generation most likely. And it's already been getting good reviews on Rotten Tomatoes by users and critics. Metacritic has kind of a, middling score, but Overall, I think Spontaneous is really fun entertainment. It's a really cheesy at times, darkly comedic type of film that is definitely needed for these times. Dealing with death on every corner, it's just something that just appeals, you know? And I'm going to give Spontaneous an A-. Thank you for watching my review of Spontaneous. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't watched it yet, I'd highly suggest you go check it out right now. It's worth the price of a rent. And if you liked it, or if you've watched it, what are your thoughts on it? Leave some comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.